NFL Network. Will Selva's out in the newsroom in Culver City. We're talking all things Jets, all things Odell. I cannot wait to get your opinion on that, but Will's got some updates on America's team.
Absolutely. What's going on there, Kay? And fellas, happy Friday to you all. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott will try to outdo his Week 1 performance, although that might be hard to replicate. Prescott became the second player in Cowboys history with a perfect passer rating in a game. For all you history buffs out there, Craig Morton was the other. Oh, by the way, Prescott also joining another exclusive group by becoming the 4th QB with a perfect passer rating on 30 or more pass attempts in NFL history. The others being Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, Jared Goff, who just got a massive extension, and Ken O'Brien. But the perfect passer rating is the last thing Prescott is thinking about.
Definitely wasn't a perfect day. I don't ever honestly even look at the rating. There's a lot of other things I guess I can say I look at. Timing, was I in the right spot? Were my eyes in the right spot? Was what was the anticipation? Things of that matter that a rating doesn't justify. So, yeah.
Well, Jaguars quarterback Jalen Ramsey doesn't have to justify his own opinions if he doesn't want to. Ramsey just says what's on his mind. Remember last year, Ramsey made his feelings known about several of the QBs in the league in a magazine article that garnered a lot of attention. One of the few QBs he actually praised was Texans QB Deshaun Watson, who Jacksonville plays this week. He stood by those comments on Thursday.
I've been very complimentary of Deshaun before when I talked about quarterbacks, and I said that he was going to be one of the best in the league, and I stand by that. I think he is emerging as one of the best in the league. He had an amazing game the other night, led their offense. I'm biased too. Like that's a good friend of mine. I talked to him last night. Crazy.
All right, so they're buddies there, but a lot of high praise from Ramsey. Watson is 14-9 in his career as a starting QB in the regular season. All 9 losses have come by 1 possession. He's the only QB since 1950 to have at least 90% of his losses come by 1 possession. So the Texans always in the game when Deshaun Watson is under center.
What do you think?
Dude's a beast, man. He's going to be one of the best in the business, no doubt about it.
Selva, we love you. We'll talk to you in a bit. Let's talk Week 2. The nightcap on Monday night's going to be Browns and Jets. Things aren't going so well, or at least as far as both teams had planned, considering the hype and the potential that both teams had. But they both started 0-1, and more on the Brown side with some interesting comments from their star wideout. Here's Odell Beckham with Kim Jones, or Kim Jones on Odell Beckham, rather.
Good morning, Kay. Monday night's game between the Browns and the Jets already has plenty of intrigue. Sam Darnold has been ruled out. He has mono. And both teams are hungry for a win after losing their season opener. Well, Odell Beckham Jr. added quite a sidebar to the mix on Thursday. He accused Gregg Williams, now the Jets' defensive coordinator, of teaching cheap shots and dirty hits. Here's more from Beckham in his own words.
It's preseason. It's like a known rule. Like in preseason, like nobody in the NFL is really out to do stuff like that. I had players on this team telling me that that's what he was telling them to do. Take me out of the game, and it's preseason. So you just know who he is. Just the man. That's the man calling the plays.
Beckham also called the return to MetLife Stadium his former home just another game. We'll have to see about that. And by the way, Gregg Williams is scheduled to talk to reporters on Friday afternoon in Florham Park.
Ooh. My popcorn is ready for that one. Appreciate you, Kim Jones. More on this matchup, but what'd you make of that, Odell on Gregg Williams?
I don't have a problem with it. What's the issue with Odell being honest about something that he heard? He said he talked to certain players, and players said to him that they were out to take him out of the game, which it's something that happens in the NFL where star players are looked at as the piece that you can remove in order to win the game. Now, there's no evidence of that, but if Odell comes out and says, I spoke with individuals, and they said in the preseason game that their goal was to take me out, which happened, he ended up getting hurt. There's no evidence of that, but if Odell comes out and says, I spoke with individuals, and they said in the preseason game that their goal was to take me out, which happened. He ended up getting hurt. Of course he's going to be in his feelings about it. I feel like right now OBJ is under attack. The watch thing is blown way out of proportion. There's been watches worn in the past, and all of a sudden he wears a watch because it's expensive. Everybody wants to talk about it. Just think about it. Since he's been a Brown, what has he done? He just went to work, showed up, and now he's trying to make plays. I don't get right now why he's under assault. Listen, I know we don't do a lot of crossover episodes of talking about other shows, but there was a clip from The Herd, and Colin came out and said that he was a diva, and divas don't work. Divas don't work in the league. And he mentioned T.O., and he also mentioned Chad Johnson, which is fine. What about Deion Sanders? He was the biggest diva in sports and became one of the biggest stars ever. Odell Beckham is less of a diva now with the Cleveland Browns than he was with the Giants. Yeah. It seems like people just want to take shots just because. Why don't we just let the man play ball? That's how I feel.
Do you hear yourself? What has he done? He's done nothing. So why does he keep on talking? Why would he call out a defensive coordinator on a Thursday before you play them Monday night? You're only stroking the flames. Now it's a story. Now you're bringing it up. There's a preseason game from 2017. It's very easy for Odell Beckham to say, you know what, Gregg Williams, if he wanted to, he brings the attention on himself. This isn't him getting hated on and under assault. He's being honest, but when you bring honesty and when you wear a $300,000 watch, like, you do bring attention to yourself. I almost feel like he's on tilt at this point, and he's like, I don't care anymore. I don't give a you-know-what. I'm going to say whatever I feel, and if that's the case, you have to also be okay with him being criticized. That's the nature of this game.
It's one thing to be criticized. It's another thing for people to take shots for no reason. If another player wore a cheap watch, they wouldn't say anything. Odell wears an expensive watch, same watch that Nadal wears in the U.S. Open, and all of a sudden Odell's the villain again. And as far as answering a question about Gregg, why can't he? Has Gregg Williams been a saint in this league? You know the answer to that. I know the answer to that.
But you can't on the back end then say he's getting under assault and why is everyone picking on Odell? He's mentioned it's him in the headlines because it's stories. They lost by 30 points on Sunday. Okay. 30 points at home.
Odell also has 70 catches. He was double teamed every single play, and he was open.
I can't play the Odell's a victim card here. I just can't.
I'm not saying he's a victim. I'm just saying, why are we criticizing when he showed up to Cleveland and he's done nothing but play ball? He hasn't been caught by TMZ partying. He hasn't been out pissing in the end zone after a touchdown. He's been waiting for his opportunity to shine, and that's it. And he answers a question honestly, and all of a sudden everybody wants to take shots at him. That's all I'm saying. I understand where you're coming from, but just think about the drama that has surrounded Antonio Brown over the last 9 months. Now think about what Odell did as a Giant. Was it that bad? Like, was the stuff that he did that bad, Kyle?
Of course not.
Or am I tripping?
I actually think there's a chess move that Odell's making here that you see all the time from coaches, especially in the NBA, which is put that out there before the game and watch this guy. Because Gregg Williams deserves no credit, no credibility whatsoever on this topic. He surrendered all of that. Odell's saying, he came after me. I have good information. Watch this dude. I want to get this out before the game. If his guys do anything extra, flag him. I actually think it might be sort of cerebral from him.
I mean, if Jarvis Landry says the same thing, I think we're still talking about it this morning.
About Gregg Williams?
Yes, I think so. I think just any player saying that.
Well, because of Gregg, 100%.
So I don't think it's about that. I mean, the watch thing, maybe that's different if it's any other player because Odell is a rock star. Yeah. But I think if any great wide receiver said that about Gregg, don't you think we'd be talking about it this morning? And that's why the criticism happens because you're putting it out there.
And if Gregg didn't have the pass, if he didn't have the pass that he had, what Kyle is alluding to, then it wouldn't be a big deal. But the simple fact that Odell, maybe in a very strategic way, is saying, listen, just watch the DBs in this game. I want to get out healthy, and if I don't, because there's some extra stuff going on, it could be coming from a higher power.
I'd say this. They lost by 30 week one at home, had 18 penalties for 182 yards, and Odell Beckham might have had a good statistical game. They lost by 30. I'm not sure how he did stats-wise. For him to be in the news 3 different times for 3 separate things this week, just based on things he said or worn or whatever, you can't say it's not an Odell thing. You can't say it's the media's fault.
Yeah.
He's calling out a defensive coordinator who's got a very checkered past that no one else has done. That's a bold thing. I'm not against him doing it.
Right.
But don't say, woe is me for Odell.
There's no woe is me. But, Peter, I tend to think this is not an Odell. It has nothing to do with the watch. Odell said that hit he took in the preseason changed his life. It undercut his knees. It changed his whole trajectory of his career.
I think he's protecting himself here. I don't think he has any personal bones with Triple G at all, as we call him. I think he's like, if they hit me in the knees, can you guys do something about it? And I actually think it was a little Popovich of him, and it's actually pretty smart.
And there was an incident where they both crossed paths. It was on NFL.com. I read before 2017 when Gregg Williams was with the Rams. There was a late hit on Odell. There was a skirmish between both sides. So there is some history there. We'll dig into more of this. And Kyle's got takes on Mono.
Who doesn't have Mono takes?
I need your Mono takes.
You know what the worst part about Mono is? Mono Twitter. Every reporter saying, well, I had it once. Congrats on the makeout.
This guy, no Mono.
Humble brag.
Just lots of yards and lots of catches. What is he going to do against the Rams this weekend? That is the game.